Hello, new series tubers, and welcome back to an introductory video and recruitment video as well for fun, and a bit of a mini explanation video. I don't know, it's a lot of things. It's a video of many colors. So, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 1 on the channel lately, and I got it in me to take a viewer sort of suggestion and test out one of the big sort of mod rebalancing patches for the Dawn of Souls version that I've been playing lately. I did all the solo challenges not too long ago. So, while I'm finishing up the solo challenge series, which is still in progress, so you'll probably see those videos after this one, but before this one starts for real, I thought what I would do is have a little bit of an introductory, sort of, you know, explain some stuff, and also call for some names, because I think it'd be kind of fun to bring along 4 viewers along for the ride. So anyway, this time we're playing Final Fantasy 1 with I think the mod's name is Mod of Balance, or something like that. I'll put a link in the description as usual, so no big deal, but it's a pretty big overhaul. It changes a lot of things, and what I've done is I've done one playthrough on it, so I kind of know that it works. It's not going to break, it's not going to glitch out and stop, and I kind of understand a little bit of how it works. And I've also taken a couple party examples here that I can show off kind of what the different classes are. Because the main selling feature is there are now 12 different classes. Now, unfortunately, the little viewfinder here as you select them is bugged, so you can't actually see all of the 12 pictures here. But you can see there's Battle Mage, Priest, Master, Ranger, Ninja, Paladin, Enchanter, Ark Mage, Sage, Monk, Knight, and Rogue. So there are 12 different unique classes with their own equipment sets and spells and stats and everything, and it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, there is not a promotion quest that doubles everyone's, or gives everyone a secondary class. This is the one class they get for the whole game. So I thought that was kind of cool. So what I'm going to show you guys first is just the fact that I did go through all the way on one class. This is the party I went with the first time. And, oh, the music probably turned off. Right. Hold on, just a second. It's because I was playing it in quiet mode. I can fix that. There you go. There, you got some music in the background. So I played it through with a Paladin, a Ninja, a Priest, and an Ark Mage. And I believe this is probably the closest to your vanilla Fighter, Thief, White Mage, Black Mage party that is so strong in the Dawn of Souls remake. The difference is that the Paladin starts with white magic from the very beginning, even though they learn lower levels than the white mage type. And then they have a cap at level 6, which is pretty good compared to the knight. Similarly, the ninjas... Oops. Oh, my buttons are all mixed up. Sorry. So, my ninja also similarly goes up to level 6. I can't remember. One of these two... learn spells slightly faster than the other. Like, one of them gets the new level of spells a little bit faster, but that's not a big deal. And then your Priest gets all the white magic, and your Archmage gets all the black magic. So it's pretty standard. Like, this is a very typical run. Now, you might be saying, Blue, there's some things that look weird here. Not only is there, obviously, a lot of differently named spells, and perhaps changed spells, what's with this over 1,000 HP mumble-jumble? Well, in fact, the stat limit has been increased. The maximum HP, I believe, is 9,999, and stats no longer cap at 99. So things are different. There's a lot of formula changes behind the scenes, and I'm only relatively familiar with them, so we'll talk about them when we get to the main series. But things like the number of attacks per turn is no longer based on your level. It used to just be every class got like 2 or 3... well, I can't remember the exact formula, but it depends on the NES versus the Dawn of Souls version. It used to be every 32 agility, or sorry, every 32 accuracy, you got an extra attack per turn. They changed that in this game, in this mod, so that it's based more on your character's level, and I think there's like a multiplier based on what class they are as well. So, people like the Ninja will get a lot... Wow, I'm really good at... I must have, like, cursor memory on or something today. The ninja gets at the same level a lot more attacks, so that's kind of his thing, of course. I just wanted to show you kind of what some of the end game stuff looks like, because this is pretty much end of the line. So we've got all the stuff from whatchamacallit, the bonus dungeons and all the top tier gear pretty much. It's interesting some of the stuff that some of the classes can equip. I wasn't expecting a priest to be able to equip like the best shield in the game. And also, this was an item that was bugged in the original Dawn of Souls remake. It was in one of the bonus dungeons, the wind one, I think. But it was on a floor that would never actually show up, so you could never actually get it. So, or, you know, whatever the exact details are. So it's different. It's harder overall. The balance is definitely more difficult. And I don't want to spoil everything, so I'm not going to go through it right now. The main thing I want to do for today was cover I've got 3 different save files with everybody at level 10 right after killing Astos, basically. That's all we've done. Marsh Cave, killed Astos, saved at level 10, and I just wanted to give you a little sort of update on, like, what the classes are like. So, for instance, the ones we started with, right? This was my default class. Paladins, early on in the game, they get pretty good weapon selection. Not the best weapon selection, but they're very heavy armored, high defense, low evasion. They can use most of the good heavy armor, and also a good supply of the normal swords and stuff. Classes do have, like, favored weapons as well, so some... Even if, like, if you say a sword has 10 attack power, some classes will get more or less damage out of it than that, even if they can equip it. So ninjas can't equip the same thing as the knights, as the paladins anyway, but even if they could, they'd probably get different stats out of it. So that's sort of your paladin, your basic paladin. He's got level 2 magic at level 10, compared to, you know, the priest having, like, level 4 at that point. And stat-wise, he's strength and stamina. You know, he's your paladin. He's a lot like the vanilla knight once promoted, or fighter promoted to knight. So that's pretty normal. We'll look at the ninja next. So ninja, again, is a lot like a thief promoted to a ninja, except some of the weapon selections and armor selections are a little bit different. The ninja never really gets heavy armor like he did in the base game. Eventually, Genji armor very late on provides good defense, but for most of the game, you're actually quite low on defense. There's not a lot he can equip, and what he can equip has low actual stats. Similarly, his weapon selection is kind of low, so he's limited on his actual physical equipment for a lot of the game. That said, he does get a lot of accuracy for hit rate and evasion, so he's, in my opinion, actually kind of one of the weakest characters that I've tried out. I think he's meant to be your glass cannon damage dealer, but I've always found him to be kind of weak. But that's just my opinion. The ability to use some black magic is pretty cool, and he does get some nifty little things that might do a lot of damage. But he's definitely not my favorite of the first 4 that I tried. Next up is our priest. Like I said, they can wear a surprisingly high amount of defense. I think they can actually equip the Watchman mail the same as the Paladin, so they could have the same defense level as the Paladin at this point in the game. Less accuracy, less evasion, sure, but the Mithril Hammer's not bad. And stat-wise, you know, they don't really have as many physical stats like stamina and agility. Actually, their stamina is surprisingly good. But intellect is meant for priest and, like, white and black magic spells. It buffs their damage. So that's your basic priest. Pretty much the standard white mage, white wizard gets all the white spells. There are Final Fantasy II spells thrown into the mix, so you might see things like Arrow, which is, I don't think anything, well, no, there's probably some things weak to air magic, but one of the things that's different is, and we'll have to do some research, is some of the weaknesses and strengths, well, all of them are going to be different than they were in the base game, probably. So, like, Poison, for instance, is a damaging spell now. Some enemies will take bonus damage from Poison rather than a chance at instant death. So things like that are going to be different. I think, like, traditionally most weaknesses are, like, any classic Final Fantasy 1 weaknesses are probably still there, but some spells have changed, like Dia, or Harm, used to only work on the undead. Now it works against typically evil enemies. So it works against the undead, of course, but it'll also work against Garland, who is not dead, but is, you know, a Black Knight. There should be some other good examples of evil enemies being weak to that, if I can find anything. Obviously, undead, and like, a lot of dumb enemies are weak to confusion and mind now, I think I've noticed. Let's see. Gargoyles, that's a good example. So they're considered evil. So they used to have I don't think any specific weakness, but now they're weak to Dia at least. So it gives the white mage spells a little bit more value. You can use Dia or Dira or all the different versions to give the white mage archetypes more value. So that's pretty cool. Also, in general, there's less status protection as there was in Final Fantasy 1, so having access to some of these null spells and null death, null shock, all those becomes more important in this remake than in the original. So finally, the last one is our Ark Mage, who's basically just the Black Wizard. Pretty limited equipment selection. Not the most limited, but we'll see in a second the most limited selections. All the black magic. Again, we've got access to dark magic, Pain, at a level 2 spell. It hits all enemies. That's pretty cool. So before level 3 Elfland, you can actually get a spell that hits everything. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's dark, and some enemies are weak to dark. And then a lot of the spells should look pretty similar if you're familiar, other than Warp being much lower than level 5, not requiring a promotion. So there's some convenience upgrades. So anyway, oops, I just warp out of the town. That's fine. Anyway, that's kind of your basic, that's what I would recommend. If you're playing this for the first time, if you're playing along, I would suggest maybe a party kind of like this to start, although the ninja, I'm not super impressed with. But definitely bring, like, Paladin, Priest, Ark Mage, and then throw somebody else in, whatever you feel like. There's always one spot that's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. But the Paladin is really good up front. The Priest is actually really good second spot. And the Ark Mage for wiping groups really speeds things up. Anyway, that's just my first party. So then, oops, don't mind that. That was, a fight against this guy that was causing me a lot of problems. As you might expect, Omega Weapon is pretty bad. So, that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's check out... So we did this one. Let's check out this... I think I liked this group. No, I did not like that group. This group, I just picked random groups. I tried to find 3 different viable combos. Obviously, with 12 different classes, there are a ton. There's probably millions of different class combinations. Probably actually millions. So someone can do the math if you really want. So anyway, on this class, this is 4 new classes. So the Knight is it's basically like a fighter, and he's always a fighter. He never gets white magic. So all this guy does is smacks things with swords. This one should be called Fighter, and he should definitely get sword chucks if there was any class that required it. He, I believe, has the lowest intellect of all classes, and only smacks things. His armor and weapon selection, I believe, is the best. I'm pretty sure the Paladin gets basically everything anyway, but the Knight probably gets a few things the Paladin doesn't. And I know he has better modifiers for, like, number of attacks. I'm pretty sure anyway. Right? Like, I'm not, like, totally crazy here. Oh, the Paladin has 2 attacks at 35. At level 10. His agility probably is what's helping him out there. Yeah, I think the Knight is just a little bit weaker on agility. Maybe random values, random level ups. So anyway, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to, like, in the long run, he'll have better HP, better attack numbers, hit rates, and all that stuff. Also, the Paladin is specifically quite slow, generally, like with evasion. Although the Knight, it might just be the equipment I've got. Like, it's possible some of these things weigh him down more. I forget the exact, like, comment. Oh, none of that changes agility, so... Anyway, I'm not as familiar with these 4 characters, obviously, because I haven't taken them up to level 60 and beat the game with them. But from what I've seen so far, the Knight is okay, a little bit one-dimensional, kind of boring. Next up is the Master, who is basically... See, there's 2 punching style. There's a Monk, and there's a Master. So we've covered... Basically, think of all the basic classes. There's sort of 2 versions of each of them. You've seen Knight and Paladin. Knight is mostly fighter, Paladin is mostly old-school Knight. So that's cool. It's fairly easy to understand. The 2 Black Belty Master types are a little bit weirder. I don't think I found this guy particularly good, the Master. He does get some magic, although it's limited significantly to specifically Master-type spells. There's a couple more at level 3 and 4, and I can just zip over, actually, to show you what they are. Just because these guys are kind of complicated. In Elfland, the old level 4 shops are now Black Belt Master spells. So eventually he can learn this Key Strike, which does do instant death, and death protection doesn't protect you, so it's actually really good. Level 4 Black special black magic. And there's also Meditate, which is kind of like Saber, I think. So it does give him some options eventually, but, you know, early game, he's not going to have access to that kind of stuff for a while. So I don't know. I wasn't super impressed with him. Obviously, he can still use nunchucks. I'm not really sure if that's better at this level or not. I haven't really done all the experiments to see if he punches harder or nunchucks harder. But anyway, he has those kind of options. Generally, very equipment limited, like kind of like the ninja. He can't really equip very much. Maybe slightly better than the ninja, but not by a whole lot. And yeah, that's basically the master. I'm not terribly impressed with the knight or the master so far, but maybe at higher levels they start to really shine. Like in the original game, black belt, monk, master, whatever you want to call them, at the end of the game they were just ridiculously overpowered. I have a feeling they're balanced downwards. They're kind of nerfed a little bit in this mod, but I mean, that's just my opinion. So then we've got the Enchanter, which is essentially a cross fighter white mage, I believe. So they still get most of the white magic, although at a lower level. Remember, a level 10 priest has level 4 white magic already. A level... Oops, keep pressing the wrong one. A level 10 enchanter does not have access to level 4 magic. Also, they do get some black magic, so it's kind of a combo class, which is neat. I think they can learn some of these spells. They learned Warp, which is handy. I think they learn a lot of the more buff-type spells. Like, they're more of a support white mage / fighter, I guess, is probably the way to frame it. They seem pretty good in my books. The problem is the group healing spells are really important late game, especially if you're trying to do the bonus bosses in the challenge dungeons. So the problem I have is the enchanters, I don't believe, are able... Well, they learned heal. Oh, is that level 4? Okay, she just hasn't unlocked level 4. So she'll learn Healera eventually. That's right, never mind. I think she probably learns all the white magic, or at least nearly all the white magic. I wouldn't be surprised if she stops at level 7 or something, because the priest is the pure white mage, and this is like a combo class. The paladin got to level 6. But we'll see. I don't know. If I take this one up to level to max level, then I'll know more. But the main thing was that she actually has pretty good equipment. I don't have access to the best stuff right now, but she can use swords and stuff. I guess, I don't know. I didn't like this party. This was the party I liked the least of the three setups I made. They all have kind of mixed classes, except the pure fighter and the master. But the enchanter, I don't know. I mean, white magic's always important, and having warp is nice. Maybe if you don't bring anyone with pure black magic, this is enough to get you by with some warping, but I don't know. That's the enchanter. The sage is your all magic, max intellect, nothing else, I believe. Or is that the other one? Is that no, that's definitely the sage. So the sage is sort of a red mage, except they don't have the red mage's physical flair. So in the base game, red mages could equip quite a lot of swords and like reasonably good armor for the early game. Sages cannot. They are, in fact, the fact that I've got a reasonable amount of armor right now is very recent. You can buy some of this stuff in the remake or the mod, but it's very expensive. So you're not going to be buying feathered caps early. You're not going to be buying elven cloaks early. Even the magical robe is pretty pricey for an early game. So it takes a while to get him any armor at all, because early on he can't really equip anything. And he still has the worst defense in the party. And I believe that's the standard. This guy is physically frail. I think he'll probably have the worst HP and defense for the whole game. At least the ninja had some evasion to balance out and a few pieces of good equipment. The sage is more about learning all the spells. And I think, kind of like the red mage in the vanilla game, I believe he has access to the most spells. Maybe even all of them. Well, no, because... Oh, it's level 4. Right. That's the other thing, of course. He does learn white and black slower than a priest or a battle... Or... What was I calling? I'm sorry, the name's the Ark Mage. The priest and the Ark Mage are the masters at their specific classes, white and black. The sage just learns both of them at a lower level. At slightly slower speed, I guess. And I believe he does learn I'm kind of in the wrong town to show off what he can actually learn. Because I can only select 3 spells per level, right? Like, you can dump them and come back later. Let me just head back to Provoca, because... sorry, I wanted to show off what spells he actually has access to. So Provoca or Corneria are kind of required to do that. Just to give you guys an idea of the different, the 12 different classes. So, yeah, he can learn, looks like all the white magic. That's pretty handy. And, at least at that level. And I bet you he can learn all the black magic, too. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he can learn all the magic in the game, just a little bit slower than a priest or an Ark Mage. So that's, you know, it's neat, but it does put you in a position of, like, well, what's more important? Learning, Cure or Fire? And I guess Cure is probably better. What about Thundera, Fira, Warp, Cura? If there was a heal spell, if there was a Dia spell, like, you can only pick 3. So he's still limited by 3 slots, although I believe, just like in the remake, you can still technically remove one and switch it up later on. So if you don't like something, you can always change it. It's cool, but I wasn't a super huge fan. So anyway, these 4 I felt were kind of like not my favorite. I think they could all fit into a specific party combo, but this party combo was not impressing me. And then we have the last 4 classes. So these guys I kind of liked more than the last group of 4. We'll start with the Ranger, because he's interesting. I don't know how to classify him. I guess this might be the closest to the vanilla Red Mage. He actually gets pretty good weapons and armor. Like, he's got almost as much defense as the Knight or the Paladin. So that's pretty good. Oops, wrong button. So he's got kind of, you know, almost Knight Paladin tier equipment, which is pretty good. Probably, maybe about as defensive as the Priest was, who was quite defensive. He's got pretty average stats, so I guess maybe thinking of him as the Red Mage is the correct way to do it. He learns lots of spells across different schools, like some white, some black. I think, yeah, I guess he's probably... The way to look at him is kind of like he's the Red Mage. He's the Ranger. He does a little bit of everything. And unlike the Sage, who learns all the spells and just focuses on magic, I bet you he'll only get to level... I'm going to guess around level 6 magic at max. We'll see if I use him. But, you know, a good support kind of mid-range. Like, in my original party of Paladin, Priest, Ark Mage, a Ranger might be a better fit than a Ninja, just to give more variety. And actually provides more defense a lot of the game. So anyway, he's pretty cool. The Rogue, this is basically your Thief. And Thieves I was never a huge fan of. Now, he does get more armor than the Ninja did. So oddly enough, the Rogues are better defensive characters than the Ninja. They've got similar evasion, and they can actually equip some real armor. So that's cool. They can also equip better selections of weapons. So I guess a more physical-oriented Ninja. The trade-off is they get no magic. So the Ninja gets a pretty good black magic selection. The Rogue is like all melee. It's kind of like a light, maybe an agility-based fighter, you know, if you're familiar with Dungeons & Dragons. So the Rogue, I guess, I can't say I hate him, because he's a lot stronger than an NES Thief, a Final Fantasy 1 NES Thief. But he's kind of got a bit of that lack of, like, he doesn't have any magic, which is, it's nice to have some options. He just attacks, and he doesn't hit as hard as a fighter would. He's kind of like an agile, quick fighter that's... Maybe he's better at running away in combat and preventing back attacks or something, I don't know. But I wasn't super impressed. Now, the Battle Mage, this one impressed me. So this is your Fighter Mage, I believe, would be the classification. Kind of like we had a Fighter Priest, now we've got a Fighter Mage. Fighter Black Mage. He gets a pretty good supply of armor. Again, look at that, 35 defense. He's got more defense than the Ranger or the Rogue at the current tier. That's pretty handy. He gets a good selection of spells, all the general black magic and some white magic. Again, he's not quite as specialized as the Ark Mage at getting, you know, the higher level spells quicker. But at the same level, he had way better stats, like physically. So I think this guy's pretty good. That's a good fit. Keeping in mind that magic damage does scale off intellect, so eventually your pure Ark Mage is going to be doing a lot more magic damage. And I assume probably the Sage will as well eventually. I expect he gets the most magic damage. So if you just want pure nuking, that's probably the way to go. But if you want a combo class, I think the Battle Mage is a pretty good fit. So anyway, that gives us our... We've got a pure Black Mage, a Black Mage slash Fighter. We've got a White Mage and a White Mage slash Fighter. We've got a Thief, Rogue. We've got a Rogue. We've got like a base Thief. We've got a base Ninja, a base Fighter, a base Knight. We've got a Red Mage and a Red Mage that only does magic. And then we've got a Master and a Monk. And the Monk is the only one we haven't shown off yet. I kind of don't like him either. I don't know if he can wear any armor at all. I don't think I found anything he can equip yet. Oh, he can equip an Elven Cloak. Yeah, so if I get 24,000 gil, oh, something else. He can wear these. Oh, I bet you it was just, they actually provided less defense, I think. Yeah, so maybe the difference here is the Monk is a bit better. I can't remember. Sorry, let me just figure this out. So the Monk is definitely more oriented to the magic side of things than the Master. He's the one that gets white magic. So this is your spell casting Monk. The Master is your less spell casting Monk. I believe the Monk also gets those special spells, the Blink, Chakra, Meditate type stuff, the special Monk Master type spells. The Ninja gets them as well, I believe. But the normal Monk actually gets some useful white and black magic, which is kind of fun, and also a reasonably high intellect. So he's got like the unarmed caster thing going for him. I actually, now that I'm remembering it, I liked the Master more, or sorry, I liked the Monk more than the Master. The Master is like all about physical damage and very little else. The Monk has a lot more versatility, I guess. I'm still not a huge fan, but it's mostly because he's got so low defense. The classes that can wear good armor early game are really solid early game. But I did like this combination. I think the Rogue was probably the weakest link on this team, and I might end up being a little bit low on white magic on this one. It depends on what spells are available at higher levels, but I don't have anyone who's like a dedicated heal bot. So it might be better to take the Rogue out and replace with the Enchanter. Or the Sage if you really want to try that. But anyway, that's my overview. Those are the 12 different classes. Hopefully that explains what they are a little bit. I have obviously already done one run with these 4. So for the Let's Play that's upcoming, I was thinking, actually just to show it off, you can have over 100 intelligence. I should just nuke something just so you can see. They're all gonna run. Okay, we can just go somewhere where they won't run away. So White Dragons, you know, they're pretty strong. Let's throw a nuke, or flare at least, on them. Assuming they survive long enough. Come on, stop killing everything. There we go. So this would do how much damage to the whole group? Almost 1,000 damage. That's enough to kill almost anything in the game. So, you know, I'm still getting level ups all the time. It's not like we're capped out on experience. I just I just stopped level grinding because we're already pretty good. So yeah, the high intellect does scale really well later on. One thing that's kind of sad, if you're familiar with the Dawn of Souls remake, Judgment Staff cast Flare back in the day. Oh, I'm probably going to kill them. Oh no, Purple Worms are really sturdy in this game. Unfortunately, the Judgment Staff got nerfed. All of the spellcasting items are less powerful than they were in the vanilla game. They lost the really high level spells. I think Ice 2 is the strongest item use spell you can get. There's no more Flare, Holy, Life 2 stuff. Like that's as good as you get. So anyway, enough rambling on. I need to pick a party, although I haven't 100% decided, and I need 4 volunteers to join me. So we're going to make a new game for the next episode, so that's just my overview. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of the balance. Like, there's a lot of little minutia, like differences between the vanilla game and this one, and I'll talk about them as we go through the Let's Play, but hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea of what you're getting into if you want to play along. So I need to make a party, and I don't want to use any of my original party. Like, anybody that I already took is kind of vetoed. So, like, I'm not going to be bringing... Where are they? I'm not going to bring Paladin. I'm not going to bring a ninja, because the ninjas I didn't like the ninjas very much either. They're not bad, but they like you saw in my test save there, I had the what's it called? The Genji armor, but you only get that like at the very end of the game. Until then, he has almost no defense. He's a super weak glass cannon, and if you notice, the Paladin did more damage per physical hit than him anyway. So it was generally still better to use haste and temper on the knight and just ignore the ninja completely. He just buffed people basically, and that was not very impressive. So anyway, this selection of 4, we're not going to use, even though the Paladin is amazing and the Ark Mage and the Priest are amazing. Like, these are like the top 3 characters that I've played with in this game so far. So I need to pick from the other 8. So of the other 8, I feel like I need someone up front that can take damage. The top spot always takes the most damage. They get the most percentage of enemy attacks. So I could argue bringing a boring old knight. I was confused by the name. I don't think they're very interesting because they don't learn any magic and all they do is hit things. I could also considerably bring a rogue, but those 2 I'm not a huge fan. Like, I kind of want to veto those 2 because they're kind of boring. They don't learn any magic, so they just focus on melee attack. One thing I forgot to mention, this is an important note. Money is very tight in this game. Unlike the original game where you generally had more money than you could spend, in the balance mod, money, you got to be careful. Like, buying a lot of spells or the top tier equipment, you can't really do both at the same time. So you got to kind of maybe wait till you do a dungeon to see if you get some good loot, and then just buy whatever loot that you need to fill in the gaps, kind of thing. But so these 2 are good in sense of they're cheaper. Similarly, if I brought a monk or a black belt or whatever they called them here, I wish they could fix this screen, but I read that it's very difficult to actually fix this display bug. Bringing these guys is probably cheaper as well because you don't have to buy them. Like, this would be a very cheap party, but it would also kind of suck. Like, I'm not a huge fan of this grouping. So I'm kind of thinking, I kind of like the idea of the ranger. They give you a little bit of an explanation here. Jack of many trades, master of none. Yeah, he's kind of like the red mage. That's cool. So sure, let's bring a ranger. I kind of want to bring a sage to see if they turn out good. But if I bring a sage, like, they're not strong early on. Like, they're super fragile. So that's a liability early on. I can't bring very many other weak characters. I think I have to bring somebody who focuses on white magic. And I believe, seeing as I've already done a priest, I should just bring the Enchanter version to see how they turn out. This is going to be, like, if I do what I'm thinking, this is going to be a very magic-focused party. I'm thinking of, not the Enchanter. What's the... Not the Battle Mage. Okay, so I did, Ark Mage is the pure black. I was thinking maybe of the Battle Mage. Like, how would this work? I wouldn't have any great physical hitters. I'd have a lot of white and some black, a lot of black and maybe just black, and then bolt. Like, this is very magic heavy. Maybe I let the Sage be my primary caster, skip the Battle Mage for now, and throw in, like, maybe a Monk, just to show it off. I haven't decided. It's going to be something like that. Some combination. I'm probably going to bring an Enchanter and a Sage. And then I'd like to bring a Ranger. So it's just like one last slot. I might do this one. I might try to fit a Monk in. We'll see. Anyway, 4 names. If you're interested in leaving your name, the rule is how many letters? Not many. 6 letters, I think. So like if you want to submit a name, you can't leave a super long name. 6 character max. So that's cool. I'll probably leave this video up for a few days, and I'll pick the 4 most interesting names that sound cool, or, long-term viewers I remember, or, we'll see. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Hopefully you're excited for this series. I'll probably be playing it on slightly higher speed with some background audio like before, just because I don't want to spend 40 hours grinding away. I kind of like to get through this in a shorter time. And we'll do a cool showcase of the mods of balance. So, yeah, hope you're interested. Thanks for watching. Thanks for seeing this big, long 30-minute intro video. And if you want to know how to download a ROM and use an IPS patch, I'm not going to go through all that. Sorry. It's really not that hard. Use a little bit of Google, and they will show you how to do it. Like, Trust me, it's you could do it. You don't have to leave a comment asking me how to IPS patch a ROM. There's lots of good tutorials out there that are going to be better than what I could say in 10 minutes. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you for the real series, episode 1, next time.